Namaste. Welcome to Atharva Forum. In continuation with the past videos enumerating on the contributions of our forefathers in the fields of chemistry, material science, and metallurgy, where we have three videos, one with Professor Jagtap as well. This is the fourth one in the series where I'll be walking you through once again with the gold as enumerated in our ancient literature and particularly in the Vedas. Before I proceed, on behalf of Atharva Forum, I request those who have not yet subscribed to subscribe to the Atharva Forum channel to access to similar content. The Hiranyagarbha Sukta of the Rig Veda, found in the 10th mandala, starts thus: Hiranyagarbha samavartatagre bhutasya jatah patireka asit sa dadhara prithivim dhyamutemam kasmai devaya havisha vidhema. The word Hiranya, in this case Hiranyagarbha, occurs in several places, particularly in the Rig Veda and in general in other Vedic literature as well. So here we see the whole sukta dedicated to Hiranyagarbha, which, for want of better word, is translated in English as the golden egg, talking about the genesis of this whole cosmos, how it is immortalized through this veneration or allusion to this metal gold. Not just in this place, which is the Hiranyagarbha Sukta, we find the allusion to gold in the word Hiraṇyā in several other places, both in the noun form as well as in the adjective form in the Rig Veda. For instance, in the 8th mandala, we come across this verse, this interesting verse: Utasya shvetayavari vahishthavam nadinam sindur hiranyavartanihi. I would like to draw your attention to the word Hiranyavartanihi here, which is commented by none other than Shayanacharya as having gold not only in its path but also in both of its banks. Hiranya Ubhaya Kula. That's a word used by Shayanacharya. So where this verse literally is venerating the Sindhu river for its pristine, unsullied, clean, pure water, and having gold in not just its path but also its bank. In the same 8th mandala, we come across another interesting verse: Ratho yovam trivandhuro hiranya bhishurashvina paridhyava prithivi bhushati shrutastena nasatyagatam. So here, Trivandhuro Hiranyabhishurashvina. So addressing to the Ashwin, your celebrated chariot, O Ashwin, which is three-banked, Trivandhura, having three wheels, which is ornamented with gold. Hiranyabhi, which graces heaven, and Paridhyava Prithivi Bhushati, heaven and earth come with it. O Nasatyas, Nasatya Agatam. So here we see the gold is being used as an ornamentation for the Ratha or the car of Ashwin. Similarly, in the same league where the gold is used as an ornament for the car or the Ratha, in the 8th mandala once again, we come across this verse: Hiranyayivam Rabhirisha Uksho Hiranyaya Ubha Chakra Hiranyaya. Golden is its supporting shaft, golden the axle, golden both the wheels. So you see here, it's supposed to be the very copious use of gold, as everything from the shaft to the axle to the wheels are all made up of gold in this case. Now, whether it is a mere gold plating or is it of a solid gold, that's left to the speculation of the interpreter. But we come across, or this is direct evidence to us about the gold being in the or the Ratha. In the same mandala, elsewhere, we come across Anobhara Vyanjanam Gamashvam Abhyanjanam Sachamana Hiraṇyā, which translates as bring us condiments, cows, horses, and oil, and bring us with them the precious golden vessels. Sachamana Hiraṇyā. So we also see that gold is not only being described as the alluvial deposits, be it in the first verse that I quoted from venerating the Sindhu river, or be it in the ornamentation of the car, we come across gold as being used as vessels. Now, once again, talking about the prosperity of the river, we come across in the 10th mandala, Su Ashwa Sindhu Suratha Suvasa Hiranyayi Sukruta Vajini Vati, which translates as the Sindhu is rich in horses, rich in cars, rich in clothes, rich in gold ornaments, well made, and rich in food. Hiranyayi Sukruta. So, later interpreters have alluded to these verses wherever gold and Sindhu river is used in the same context to mean this is the alluvial deposits of the gold which which is described using the poetic license. And as it was covered in the one of the previous videos, gold occurs both in its native form, that is in this zero oxidation state form, as well as in its mineral form. And in these verses that I have quoted from the Rig Veda, either the 8th mandala or the 10th mandala, we get the instances of alluvial deposits of gold in the river banks. And this has been a practice across various civilizations, across different points of time, and even now, for people who are for gold rush. Even now, in some of the countries where the people go by the riverside and they pan the river sand to look for gold granules. Needless to say, our ancestors residing besides the mighty rivers Sindhu might have observed gold and thus have kind of immortalized it by putting them in this Rigvedic verses. This is not an exhaustive list. There are hundreds of mentions of the word gold or the Hiraṇyā occurring in the Rigveda across different mandalas. What is interesting is also to see the different avatars of gold being described in Rigveda. For instance, we come across words like Shipra, Srija, Sriga, Opasa, Shringa, and Kurira. These are the words specifically used to describe the headgear or the head ornament, be it a crown or a tiara, in the Rigvedic corpus that we come across. Similarly, we have words like Karna Shobhana, Karna Pravarta, Prakasha, Kundala, and Karna Veshtaka, which are quite straightforward to describe the gold ornaments adorning the ears. And as we have it today, at a different point of time, the ear ornaments are different for different genders. And even back then, we had that kind of a separation. Similarly, we have another interesting word called Rukma, which is meant for ornament worn around the neck, like a necklace or a choker. And we also come across a verse, Adhasya Yoshana Mahi Pratichi Vashmashvayam Adhirukma Viniyate, which translates as this tall maiden adorned with gold is led towards me, Uvasa, the son of Ashwa, where the word Rukma means a specific gold ornament worn around the neck. And its a synonym is also quite interesting. One of the synonymous words for the necklace, golden necklace, is the word Niska. And both the Vedic traditional commentators like Shayana or Mahidhara, be that the traditional commentators or the contemporary scholars, they have translated this word Nishka into two different contexts, both in the Rigvedic realms. One meaning the gold ornament worn around the neck, and the other meaning coin, a gold coin. Whether it was the currency or not, that is again divided among the scholars. But the word Niska is used for gold coin, and the same word Niska also appears later in the Arthashastra as well. Interestingly, there are verses where the king gives a necklace, or king, there's a mention of the word 100 Nishkas to the Rishi. But there has been tradition to offer gold to the Rishis in the various form, and it could also be in the ornament form. And here the speculation comes whether it is the really gold coins, or was it a necklace made of gold coins. It's not been fashion in the North India, but among the tribals of certain parts of North India like Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, you can still find the practice of wearing a necklace made out of coins. So either you have a hole through which a thread is passed through, or you have an opening and a hole made above the coin through which a thread passes, and you have this coin necklace among the tribals in the northern region. But if you go down to the south, like all the southern states, one of the characteristic ornaments that even is worn today by the bride or in the temple where it is offered to the Devi, you find the coin necklace, which in Tamil is referred to as the Kasu Mali. So this is a continued kind of a reference that we come across right from the Rig Vedic period down to the contemporary era through the word Niska, and interestingly through this allusion to the necklace made out of coins, which is also kind of a continued practice even to this day. Then we have words like Bhuji, Khadihasta, Anuka, Hiraṇyapāṇi, Hiranyabahu, Anguliya. And as the name suggests, like Hiranyapani or Hiranyabahu or Anguliya, these are all the words meant for ornaments either in the arms, like an amulet, or like a finger ring, Anguliya. And these are still in vogue, especially today, worn by the brides in the occasion of their marriage, or at least in these ornaments we can easily seen to be adorned to the Devi in the Devalaya in the southern India. And we come across words in the Rig Veda for gold ornaments, particularly like Nyochini, Varunapasha, Rasana, Ninaha, Mekhala, Rashnava, and Yoktra. The word Mekhala could give us a hint here to mean something that is worn around the waist. Today this word is in vogue, but only confined to the cloth or the cloth that is worn around the waist. And particularly in the Northeast, we have Mekhala Chador, and which is the word which is still in vogue, but a similar kind of dress is also there in the southern India, worn by the unmarried girls. But here in this context of Rig Veda, the Mekhala appears as a gold ornament worn around the waist. And of course, the word Nupura comes in the Rig Vedic context as something worn around the ankles or the legs, but made of gold. Today, the Nupura might have different kind of metallic composition, but back then it was made of gold. I gave you instances of the occurrence of the word gold and its various avatar through its ornaments, be it ornament to the car or a ratha, or be it an ornament to a damsel or a beautiful lady. We move ahead and see its occurrence in other literature, particularly in this Atharvaveda. A word of digression, if I may. There is a group of scholars who believes that there's a temporal sequence in which the Vedas were composed, with the Rig Veda being one of the oldest and Atharvaveda being the youngest in the corpus. And quite contrary to this, there is an opposing school of scholarship which says that they were all simultaneous. Be that controversy as it may, what is to me is that you have this word occurring ubiquitously in all these corpus, particularly in the Atharvaveda, where we come across in the 12th mandala a verse like Vishwambhara Vasudhani Pratishtha Hiraṇyavaksha Jagato Niveshani Vaishvanaram Bibhrati Bhumiragnim Indra Rishabham Dravine No Dadhatu. Interestingly, in the Atharvaveda, when we come across, there is indirect reference to the word quote unquote gold mine, which could mean both the literal sense as well as in the figurative sense, the gold present beneath the earth, that is in the mines. So the word that is being used in this verse is Hiraṇyavaksha, and this quite repeatedly occurs. And this verse literally translates as people who work hard get gold from the bosom of Mother Earth and become wealthy, happy, mastering this world. This has different layers of meaning. As I said, the literal meaning and also figurative meaning. Literal meaning is that which alludes to the act of mining gold from the bosoms of the Mother Earth. The figurative meaning is the effort that goes in and how hard work reaps benefit. So there is direct evidence for the act of mining gold that we come across in this Atharvaveda. Similarly, in the same sense, the gold is presented to us as a mine gold, like through the word Hiraṇyavaksha. Again, the 12th mandala of Atharvaveda, we come across this verse, Shila Bhumi Rashma Pamsuhu Sa Bhumihi Sadhrutam Dhrita Tasyai Hiraṇyavakshase Prithivya Akaram Namaha. So again, we find the word Hiraṇyavakshase. Again, this is got a similar meaning like the previous verse, alluding to the act of extracting the gold from the gold mines. In the 5th mandala, again, we come across the direct reference to the word Hiraṇyā. The verse goes as Tredha Jatam Janmanedam Hiraṇyam Agnerekam Priyatamam Babhuva Somasyaikam Himsitasya Parapatat Apamekam Vedhasam Reta Ahustat Te Hiraṇyam Trivrudastvayushe. So here there is it's again a different layered meaning attributed to this verse by traditional scholars as well as modern scholars. And in summary, it refers to the three forms in which the gold occurs in our nature, and which is the similar thing is carried forward even by Kautilya in his Arthashastra, where he talks about the three ways by which the gold occurs in nature, which are the alluvial deposits, that is on the river banks, as described even in the Rig Veda. In the liquid form, where in different rocks in the mountains, between the different rocks, you find in the veins, a liquid oozes out containing the gold. And also the solid form gold occurring embedded in certain rocks. So this is what is described in a very allegorical way in this verse. These were again a few examples from the Atharvaveda that I presented to you. Once again, it's not an exhaustive list, but it's a very illustrative list to show the ubiquity of this metal occurring in the Vedic corpus. And as you know, Vedic corpus has got other literatures like Brahmana and the Aranyaka. Of course, Aranyaka has got philosophical content in it and not much of material purport that at least I could find out in the Aranyaka literature. But at least in the Śatapathabrāhmaṇa, and interestingly for our discussion today, we once again find the reference to gold and specifically how the gold occurs in nature. So in this verse that you see in the screen, there is once again reiteration of the gold occurring in its alluvial deposit form or in its liquid form. So the liquid form is the word Reta is what is being used here, as in the previous Atharvaveda verse as well as in this Śatapathabrāhmaṇa verse also. Moving ahead, till now I have given you the words or the occurrence of gold in the Sanskrit literature, particularly the Vedic corpus. Now, as in my previous exposition, where I had alluded to the Tamil literature as well, to show how Tamil literature celebrates gold through a particular Tirukkural. Once again, I have this pleasure of walking you through some of the representative Tamil literature, particularly the Sangam literature, where again gold is not only used in a noun form, but in a very metaphorical form as well. This act of alluding to Tamil literature has got us another purpose, is to kind of direct the secessionist viewpoint, where Tamil is kind of pitted against, the Tamil literature is pitted against the Sanskrit literature. Now, from a scholarly or an academic point of view, when we look at this, there seems to be a pan-Indic prevalence of scholarship in these literature, and of course with exchanges happening from either side. Now, be that separatist argument, leaving it aside, coming to the Sangam literature. First, the dating of Sangam literature again is, as like any other dating, has got large error bars. For the Sangam literature is dated all the way from 100 BCE till 350 in the current era. Now, there are different classifications of Sangam literature. I'll not get into those details, but in one of the Sangam literature named Ainguru Nuru, we come across this verse by Oram Pogiyar, where I'll read out the Tamil verse. Vāழி ஆதன் வாழி அவினி நெல்பல பொலிக பொன் பொரிது சிறக்க. Much to the chagrin of the missionary, notorious missionary pseudo scholars, who would like to translate this as Hail Adam and Hail Eve, because the word sounds very closer to Adam and Eve. Vāழி ஆதன் வாழி அவினி. Much to their chagrin, this is a verse hailing the Chera kings Adan and Avini by this poet Oram Pogiyar, who says, "Long live, O King Adan, and long live, O Queen Avini. Let the paddy yield abundantly. Nel pala poliga. Let there be more gold and wealth. Pon peridu sirakka." So here we come across the word pon for gold right from the Sangam age, which is one of the earliest written Tamil evidence for us, all the way until now. Even now, the word is in currency, where for gold, in the colloquial as well as in the scholarly Tamil, the attribution to gold is made through the word pon. Although in the colloquial word, tangam is what is more popular, but even today, pon is what is understood by Tamil-speaking people as gold. This has got also another meaning. The word in Tamil for Kaveri is Ponni. Kaveri happens to be a word for the river which flows, which is kind of celebrated in the celebrated rivers of the Tamil Nadu. The Tamil word for Kaveri is Ponni. Now you can see how Sindhu was seen as a river having pure water and also having gold. Here you come across in Tamil literature where a river is directly given the word which is also used for the word gold. So the river is also referred to as Ponni, and that's where even one of the recent movies which had made some news is Ponniyin Selvan, which was a movie made out of the novel written by Kalki R. Krishnamurti about the king from that Kaveri Delta, Ponniyin Selvan. So the same word pon also occurs in the Purananuru, where the poet Avur Mulangidar sings it for King Cholan, Kulamuttradu Tunjiya Kilivalavan. This is a very interesting verse, and allow me to read it. Niye pirar ombura maraman eil ombadu kadandu attu avar mudi punainda பசும்பொன்னின் அடிப்புலியக கழல் தை இய வல்லாளனை வய வேந்தே. It's a very archaic classical Tamil, where the poet is hailing the king, the Chola king, and how he is hailing. Let me translate it. You do not respect the fortress of your enemies who protect them with martial courage. நீயே பிறர் ஓம்புற மரமன் எயில் ஓம்பாது கடந்து அட்டு. You wage wars with them and ruin them. And you have made glittering warrior anklets with the fine gold crowns of your enemies that you wear on your legs. அவர் முடி புனைந்த பசும்பொன்னின் அடிபொலிய கழல் தை இயவில்லாளனை. There were again different layers of meaning one could attribute to it, both figurative as well as literal. And for the central to our discussion here, thanks to this poet Avur Boolangirar, where we get to see that the gold was metamorphed in multiple forms. So in a very figurative sense, he's praising the Chola king for his valorous attributes, saying how he defeats his enemies and transforms the enemy's golden crown and makes them as his anklets. So to us, it gives an impression of the activity which was in vogue during that time of transforming gold in one form from one form to the other. Interestingly, in this Sangam literature, we come across different synonymous words for gold. And one such word is Igai. In the Purananuru, again, for the famous poetess Avayar, who sings it to Adiyaman Neduman Anji, the verse goes, Igai am kadarkal irum panam pudayal. So the similar allegory is what is being carried forward by Avayar also, where this line translates as, you inherited by right the beautiful gold warrior anklets you wear on your legs. So anklets has been one of the characteristic ornaments worn pan-Indic, but more so it is described in the southern Indian literature in a more vivid and more lucid way. And there is a whole epic centered around this anklet, Śatapathabrāhmaṇa, which is also one of the very classical Tamil epic, very celebrated Tamil epic about this Kannagi, written by Kovalan, who is the protagonist of this entire act. So this anklet is of much more value in the Tamil literature. And here we see here, Igai am kadarkal. So Igai is the word gold for gold here, and how the great Adiyaman king wears the golden anklets by defeating his enemies and inheriting it from them. Another word we come across for gold in Tamil literature, where in Purananuru, Kabilar sings it for the king Velpari, Seidai Peruguvai Vanudal Virali. Seidai Peruguvai Vanudal Virali. O Virali, with a bright forehead, you will get gifts of red gold jewels. So the word here is Seidai. One of the Atharva speakers have gone in length to say what is the meaning of the word sei and how it relates to the word to the color red. So previously we saw Igai relates to gold. So here the Igai gets derivatized to Idai. So sei plus Idai becomes Seidai, which translates as red gold. So Seidai Peruguvai Vanudal Ovirali. So here we see another word referring to gold in the Sangam literature. Now again, one can't talk of Tamil literature and leave aside the lofty and the esoteric kurals written by Thiruvalluvar, which was also alluded to in my previous exposition of gold in the Atharva videos, where we come across this kural, Chudachchudarum Ponbol Olividun Tunban Chudachchuda Norgir Bavarku, which translates as, like the gold shining brighter by the touch of the fire, those who do penance get more purified by the fire of sufferings. So one can go into length while explaining this verse, but what is for interest to us, central to this discussion, is both the literal as well as the figurative meaning centered around the word and the processing of gold, where gold is referred to in this kural by the word pon, and how the gold attains its brilliance, or the brilliance increases exponentially if it spends more time in the fire. So similarly, it talks about a person who endures more sufferings would become eventually more and more purified or pious. So this was a brief glimpse of the occurrence of the word gold and the use of the metal gold from Tamil literature. Once again, it's not an exhaustive list, which is indeed beyond the scope and given such shorter time frames. This is just an introductory teaser where interested listeners could dive deeper into these literature for knowing more. Another interesting reference for gold that we come across, an interesting form of gold that we come across in our epic is the Mahābhārata, where in the Sabha Parva, where the Rājasūyayajña by Yudhishthira is being described, we come across a very unique form of gold, where different kings from different regions like Khasa, Ekasana, Arha, Pradara, Dirghavenu, Parada, Pulinda, Tangana, and Paratangana have come, and these people reside in the banks of the river Shailoda, which flows between two mountains, Meru and Mandarchala. And the beauty of this, having described the geography, what do they bring as a gift to Yudhishthira for his Rājasūyayajña, is that they present him a heaps of Pipīlaka gold. And Pipīlaka is the ant gold. And this is how it is being literally translated also. And how we get to know this is the powdery form of gold is by the occurrence of the word drona. The last verse, if you see here, Tadvat Pipīlakam nama udhritam yat Pipīlikaihi jatarupam dronameya maharshuhu punjashonrupaha. So drona is the key word for us to catch and infer the fact that the gold, the jatarupam, is again synonymous for the gold. And the first line is a definition. Tadvat Pipīlakam nama udhritam yat Pipīlikaihi. That which is excavated or brought out by the ants is the Pipīlakam. This is the Jatarupam, which was brought in different measures of drona. Drona is a device or a contrivance made out of dry timber, which is only used for measuring liquids or powders. So here we can get an impression that this gold which was presented by these kings to Yudhishthira for his Rājasūyayajña is a powdered form of gold. And interestingly, the Greek writers, when Megasthenes makes a mention of this, and the other Greek historians and Greek writers, olden Greek writers also, when they refer to India, they particularly refer to this Pipīlaka gold and the Mahābhārata verse, and they also write that this is also found in the Indian region, which goes to say that this form of gold is not just unique to this region, perhaps in different forms, different regions of the world, such form of powdery gold is to be found. So this is one unique form of gold which is extracted from the earth by the ants, and thereby by its virtue of its excavation by the ants, this is in the powdery form, and again given to us, indicated to us by this word drona occurring here. And needless to say, the epic Ramayana, also there are ubiquitous references of gold, and depending upon which recension of the Ramayana that we refer to, there are various mentions of the word gold occurring in this epic. One of the popular imagery that we get the moment we say Ramayana and gold is of the Vigraha of Sita made of gold. And in fact, this Agni Pravesha act that we come across towards the later half is understood in terms of the other form of Sita, which is going back to the Agni, because one form of Sita made out of gold was brought out of Agni. That that story is again a very interesting story occurring in one of the recensions of Ramayana. So where central to our, relevant to our discussion here is the Vigraha made out of gold, pure gold, Vigraha of Sita. Not just that, we find a lot of mentions in Ramayana where the occurrence of gold is also described. For instance, in the fourth, the 4.40.54, we come across a verse, Tatah Param Hemamayam Shri Maudaya Parvataha. Shri Maudaya Parvataha. So that is Hemamaya. So there is some Parvata which is going by the name Shri Maunadaya, and that is described in Ramayana, comprising of a lot of gold. Similarly, Sringam Saumanasam Nama Jatarupamayam Dhruvam. So again, Jatarupamayam or Hemamayam are all synonymous to gold. And here once again we find one more occurrence of a place a mountain where we can find gold. Similarly, in the western direction, Kotim Tatra Samudrasya Kanchanim Shatayojanam. So this is also found about this occurrence of gold and in the western direction, describing a specific geometry. In the northern direction, Kalam Nama Maha Shanum Parvatam Tam Gamishyatha Tamatikramya Shailendram Hemagarbham Mahagirim. So the word Hema Maya or Hema actually also means snow, but this context where we see the word Hema Garbha or the previous sloka Hema Maya, it is unequivocally referring to gold, because Hema Garbha Mahagirim. So this is greater mountain having deposits of having gold in its womb. So this Hema cannot be mistaken to refer to any other word other than gold in this case. So these were a few instances from the epic as well, from the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. And as covered in the previous video about gold in the Arthashastra, which occurs in the second Adhikaraṇa, interestingly, when we go to the seventh Adhikaraṇa of Arthashastra, we come across a very interesting verse. Of course, all the aspect of material science, metallurgy, and chemistry gets exhausted in the second Adhikaraṇa itself. But in the seventh one, we come across this verse. Sthalapathe api haimavato dakshinapathat shreyan hastya ashva gandha dantajina rupya suvarna panyah saravatraha iti acharyaha. So it's an interesting verse where Kautilya is paraphrasing what his predecessors thought about, not just thought about, what his predecessors have documented perhaps, and he has come across that paraphrase. And what is that paraphrase? His predecessors is thought to have felt that whatever of material value is to be found, it is to be found only in the Haimavata region. And in the Dakshinapathat, it is not much of, we cannot find these values. We cannot find these goods of value. So this is what Kautilya says, iti acharyaha, neti Kautilyaha. He writes it saying that the Kautilya is of a contrarian viewpoint. And what is this viewpoint? Shankha Vajra Manimukta Suvarna Panyascha Prabhutatara Dakshina Pathe. So he categorically and unequivocally, after refuting his predecessors, his previous scholars, he says that indeed, even if we go to the southern paths, we do find geographies having a lot of Shankha, diamond. Shankha is again conch shells, Vajra, diamond, Mani, a lot of gemstones, Mukta, pearls, Suvarna, gold, Panya is again a synonymous form of actually silver, Prabhutatara Dakshina Pathe. So he refutes his ancestors. So this also goes to see the intellectual honesty as well as intellectual tradition of recording the scholars recording scholarly statements, what his predecessors felt and how he kind of contradicts them. So the take-home message here is that Kautilya, in his period, either through his travels or by knowledge from people who have traveled, has documented about the occurrence of gold even in the region south of Vindhya as well. And lo and behold, we have this Kolar mines, which has been functional for a very long time until the colonial period. And unfortunately so, it is in the colonial period, due to the vested interests of the colonial, that this mines came to a standing halt. And today, not much of mining activity essentially happens in that region. And that region happens to be now much of soul harvesting people who harvest souls, and lots of human rights woke activists have infested that region. So much so that the mighty mine, which was functional from time immemorial till the recent past, has been rendered to dysfunctional setup. With this interesting verse of Kautilya in the Arthashastra, I draw close to this exposition of mine. And perhaps in the next series, we would take up other metals, other interesting metals, which have got much of literature in the ancient Vedic literature, as well as other ancient Sanskrit literature like iron, copper, zinc, and few other metals that we come across that are even used even today. So with that, I thank you for your patience and this opportunity. Namaste.